This segment is brought to you by Premier Barter Exchange, where you connect, network, trade, and grow. Joining me here in the studio today is Lori Davis. She is a relationship specialist and has her master's in clinical psychology. You definitely want to write this phone number down, 704-999-1781. That's 704-999-1781. And our website is www.lorianndavis.com, LoriAnnDavis.com. Lori, as our specialist in the area of relationships, what do you have for us today?
We are going to talk about modern technology in relationships, specifically texting.
Texting.
Texting, yes.
Does it have another term?
No, like on your phone when you send somebody a text.
Oh, so
Yeah.
so it's not sexting.
No.
It's texting.
No. Yes.
We talking about texting or sexting? Which one?
Texting.
With an
Texting.
S, sexting.
No,
Huh?
a T.
No, T, texting.
The other we might get to. We'll see.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. Get my mind right. Okay.
Yes, modern technology is here to stay. It's part of our lives. And there's good and there's bad. So we're going to talk some about the do's and don'ts when it comes to relationship and using your phone to send messages.
Okay.
All right? Because I run into this a lot. So I wrote a blog about it recently, and
Okay.
a lot of people seem to like it. So let's start with the don'ts, can get those out of the way, because the do's are more fun.
Okay.
So one of the first don'ts is to not jump to conclusions and not get upset when you get a text. I hear this a lot from people. Have you ever sent a message to somebody and gotten in trouble and ended up having a fight or a disagreement over a message that was sent? It happens to a lot of people. I admit it's happened to me before too. We need to be careful when we get a text that we take it at surface value, and if we read it and go, oh my, what's this? That we don't jump to conclusions. We don't get upset. We call the person, right? Or we wait till we see them and we get clarification. Sometimes you didn't get. This happened to me once. I didn't get the first text. I got the second one. It changed the whole meaning of what I got. I've heard people just have huge fights with other people over text. So that's my first don't, is don't get upset. Find out. Pick up the phone. Get clarification.
So when somebody sends you a text that says, I hate you, never call me again.
No, that's a
Pick
don't
up
that
the
I'm getting
phone.
to. Yes, that's
okay.
a different one.
Okay.
That's a don't send bad news over a text.
Don't send bad news.
No.
So that's considered bad news.
That's considered bad news. And don't ever break up with somebody over a text. That's really bad.
That's really bad? You don't do that?
It's not classy.
Oh, okay.
No, at all.
Okay.
Don't ever do that.
Okay.
Don't send a text when you're angry or you're upset or possibly you've had a drink or two and gone out with your friends.
Or 3 or 4 or 5.
Yes, never a good idea.
Or give somebody else your phone and have them send a text on your behalf.
That's not a good idea either,
That is
because
not
you
good
realize
either.
once it's gone, you can't take it back. And they can share it. It's there forever. They can reread it. So we've got to think about that when we send a text.
What about Snapchat? It's something that my children have introduced me to, where this message appears and then a few seconds later disappears. It's called Snapchat.
Okay, that's a new one.
Okay. So I know you.
Well, then it
You've been in
doesn't-
business 25 years and everything, and you
Yeah,
know
I'm not-
you're
you
30
know.
years old, but you know.
Yeah, I wish.
It's called Snapchat. So
Okay.
it comes up, it appears, and a few seconds later it disappears,
disappears?
and it's never seen again.
Well, that would solve one of the problems, but the other
Okay.
person's still going to see it. And
Right.
so you still need to be very cautious about what you're sending.
So that I hate you, never call me again, although it only shows up for a few seconds and disappears.
It doesn't leave their
It's-
mind.
Okay, it still has a lasting impression
It still has a
mentally.
lasting impression, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we still don't want to do that.
No.
Okay.
We don't want to expect a response right away. Women are the ones that I think are bad about this. They send a text and they don't get a response and they get mad. Well, you know, we need to realize that the other person might be busy doing something. And if it's a guy you've sent the text to, unlike women who multitask very well constantly, men have a tendency to focus on one thing at a time. So if
Yes,
they're
we
busy
do.
doing something, they may have seen the text, but they're not going to get back to it until they're finished with what they're doing. So don't jump to conclusions. Don't expect that response. And don't over-text. You know, women are notorious for this too. You know, guys don't like that much communication from us via texting. Necessarily via talking too sometimes.
Right.
But
I actually prefer the texting over the talking. but-
yes, it depends on what they're saying. Depends on what they're saying. So not over. I talk to women sometimes that will go out on a date with somebody, a first date even, and then they're just texting and texting, and they're angry because they're not getting a response, and they're overdoing it. They're pursuing via texting. And we talked,
that's
in
right. We
the
talked
last segment about not pursuing. So don't do it via texting either. Okay. So that kind of gets us to maybe some of the things that you can do. So let's say you're dating. It's perfectly acceptable if you went on a date to send a text that said, I had a really nice time. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Something simple, but then leave it at that. Right? And if you're a guy, pick up the phone and ask for the second date. Don't ask for it over a text. Again,
not
it's
over
not
a text.
classy.
It's not classy.
It's not classy, no.
Okay.
And what if they don't get it and they don't respond? We aren't always sure if these texts go through, even if our phone says they do sometimes.
Okay.
My daughter and I have had these conversations, and we've gotten our phones out and compared. And it said it went through, but we didn't get it. So you really do have to be cautious about this.
Okay.
All right? So let's say we'll stick with dating. If you're dating and you haven't met the person yet, or the relationship is very new, it's okay to share some information over text, a little bit back and forth. But I'd like to encourage you not to take that too far. Don't have this whole long, in-depth conversation and share your life history over text. Save that for a phone call, for emails, for your first date, your second date in person. So keep the texting minimal.
But you said emails.
You can email some to learn some more about somebody when you're first, if you haven't met them yet. I encourage people when they're doing online dating to send some emails back and forth. Before you actually take your time and your effort and you go out there and you sit and have coffee with someone, it's okay to get to know them a little bit.
But isn't emailing a longer version of a text?
It is. It is. There's no nuances that you can have in tone of voice, and you do have to be careful sometimes when you're doing those things. Jokes don't come across sometimes the way maybe you thought they were going to. Sense of humor can get lost. But I do think in the very beginnings of relationships that it is okay to send the guy that I'm with, that I'm in a relationship with. It was his first couple of emails. That's what got me. Those emails were, yes, I think I started falling in love with his emails way before I even met him.
And you found out later that he copied and pasted it from the internet.
No, I found out that's really who he was. And I was learning things about him that just were very intriguing and I really liked. So it is okay to learn a little bit about somebody so that you're not going out on. If you're in that whole dating scene and you're trying to decide who to date, it does help you to narrow down.
But what if you need some help and you're not a connoisseur of words and you may want to go to Hemingway or something and pull some Shakespeare or something to woo her? Is that
No, I think you should just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
Yeah. She may not be looking for somebody who necessarily is the world's best writer. And if you don't convey your message that way very well, then don't send a whole lot that way. Pick up the phone and have a phone conversation instead.
Okay.
So that you can get more out of it that way.
Okay.
But it can be a good way to share some basic information in the beginning, but keep it light, keep it fun.
Okay.
If you're in a relationship, I think there is a really good place for using your phone.
Really?
In relationships. Yes.
Naked pictures.
Yes. If you're in a long-term relationship or you're married, use texting to spice up your relationship. If that's something that your partner would be okay with, then send that. You can be a little more risque. You can spice up your relationship. Whatever is okay between the two of you, that's fine. Now, if you're dating, don't do that. Again,
don't do that.
No, because
it has
that
stalker
is then
written on it or something.
That is then out there, and who knows where that might end up. And again, it's not classy. We're going to keep going back to. I do believe in being classy.
But what if you have a nice body?
Then there will be a time in the relationship that person will get to experience that.
Okay.
But we need to wait till the time is right.
The time is right.
Because who are we trying to attract? Are we trying to attract a long-term relationship? If so, that's probably not how you want to start it.
Okay.
But once you're married, once
advice.
you're in a relationship, we have to work on keeping that passion going. And so texting can be a way to send something. Your partner might like to get a text that's a little bit seductive or a little bit spicy, or even just to let them know that you're thinking about them or that you love them. I've said this before, guys. Attention is an aphrodisiac to ladies. So when you send them that text in the middle of the day that says, just want you to know I'm crazy about you and I'm thinking about you, that's going to spice up your relationship. it's a good way to use texting.
So we can copy and paste that from the internet.
Yes, you can. Yes, if you think that your partner is going to be okay with what you're copying and pasting, go right ahead. But my guess is you could be a little more creative than that.
A little bit more
A little more
creative.
creative.
Okay.
Share a joke that if there's a private joke that you share, you can share that. It's a way of staying in touch during the day. It's a way of doing something simple to let the other person know, I love you, I'm thinking about you. If you're apart because you're traveling on business, or maybe you're in a relationship and you don't live together yet, it can be a great short way when you don't have a lot of time to let the other person know, again, that you're thinking about them, to stay in touch, to wake up in the morning to a text that says, good morning, beautiful, I love you. I hope you have a good day.
Wow.
That's going to do wonders
That's so
for your
special.
relationship. Or to say to someone who's on a business trip, your husband's traveling, to say, just want you to know I miss you. I'm thinking about you. Sleep good. I love you. Or something along those lines.
I'll be home in 10 minutes. Where's my breakfast?
Yeah, that's probably not the kind
No,
you want to send.
no, that's
Well, it depends
that's
on
wrong.
what kind of reaction do you want when you walk in the door.
Oh, okay.
Do you want that big hug and kiss and passion? Or do you want her to hit you over the head with a frying pan? Yeah,
Okay.
it just depends on what
Okay.
you're looking for.
So just be careful about
Be
what it
careful.
is that you
Yes.
text. So, but you can use texting.
But you can use texting. I think that if we're going to have modern technology,
Right.
let's use it to help us.
Okay.
But use it appropriately.
Family, we're here talking to Lori Davis, educating us on texting, not sexting, but texting. And you can always get in contact with her at 704-999-1781. 704-999-1781. And you can also talk to her about the naked pictures being sent through text as well. Her website is www.lorianndavis.com. That's LORIANNDAVIS.com. Thank you so much, Lori, for being here with us.